Alright, what is going on, guys? I am TJ, bringing you a brand new video on my channel. And today, some very breaking news, some very kind of shocking news, at least to me, broke in the sports world. Now, I say sports world, not just NFL or NBA or MLB. I say sports because this is some news that affects both the MLB fans and community, and the NFL fans and the NFL community, and, you know, all those ongoings and whatnot. But the news that was broken today was that Kyler Murray is going to fully commit his life to football. He tweeted a letter, or not a letter, but a statement at around 11:45 this morning, today being February 11th, Monday. And I read it, and I'm making this video just after I get out of class. So the letter basically says that moving forward, he wants to, fully commit his life to becoming an NFL quarterback. He was raised to play quarterback. And that, he wants to prepare himself for the NFL draft and the upcoming events like the Combine, Pro Days, meetings with NFL players and stuff like that. Because if you guys don't know, pitchers and catchers reported, or they will be reporting for the MLB in a little bit, in a couple of weeks. And then the A's were doing some early spring activities with Kyler Murray, because when the Combine was going on, that's when they wanted him to report to camp for the A's and get started on all that stuff. And then they were also going to do like a tour in Japan, I believe, like during the middle of the whole draft process. And so it was going to be hard for him to balance that. And so I guess he decided he didn't really want to balance that. He's going to move on from the big signing bonus that the A's gave him and the big contract that they gave him, being a top 10 pick in the first round of the MLB draft this last year. And he is going to fully commit himself to playing football and to being a quarterback at the next level. Now, not many people have been in a situation like Kyler's. If you guys remember, if you guys know, nobody has ever been drafted in the first round of the MLB draft and in the NFL draft. Now, there's guys like Bo Jackson who have played both sports. If you guys remember anything about that, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers flew him out while he was still at Auburn, and they flew him out to Tampa Bay to meet with them. And then during football season, or like during the off season of football, between football and baseball, and then the NCAA came in and said, "Look, you can't take money from outside sources that aren't the school, so you're going to be suspended." And so he was so mad about that when the Bucs drafted him with the number 1 overall pick, he said, "No, I'm going to go play baseball." And the Royals drafted him in the second round. And I think the Raiders drafted him in the second round the next year. So he was drafted in the second, and then the second round. John Elway, he had that thing where if the Colts were going to take him number 1 overall, back when he got drafted, was that 83? I don't think so. I could be wrong. But the Colts had the number 1 pick whatever year he was eligible for the draft when he declared. And he said, "If you guys draft me, I'm not going to play for you. I'm just going to go play. For the Yankees," because the Yankees had drafted him, and he had been doing some spring training stuff with them. So this isn't a totally unique situation, but it's different than the other ones. But none of those guys were drafted and kind of doing some stuff. But I mean, Bo Jackson was already an established minor leaguer by the time that the Oakland Raiders had drafted him. He had already been playing minor league baseball for a little bit when they drafted him. And then John Elway, he never really played professional baseball. I mean, he did at Stanford, but he kind of did what Russell Wilson did. What Russell Wilson does, most every offseason is go through he goes through the motions, and he does spring training with, he did it previously with the Rangers because that's a team that drafted him, and then now he's doing it with the Yankees. So John Elway kind of did that thing, but Kyler Murray was a dude who was making just as much as his head coach at Oklahoma while he was playing quarterback at Oklahoma. Like he had like a $4.5 million signing bonus coming out of the MLB draft. He was making a lot of money, and for a kid who's about the same age as me, it's really hard. I wouldn't know what to do with $4.5 million. I'd probably spend it in all the wrong ways. But he had a really level head about being a very big prospect in both the MLB and the NFL. And I don't want to say that this is the right decision, because I personally know that I love football way too much. If I was a good baseball player and a good football player, or a great in both categories, I would 100% choose football, knowing deep down my passion and my love for the game and how much I care about it, and the love that I have for not just playing the game, but for watching tape, breaking down tape, lifting weights and doing exercise, all that stuff. If I had a choice, I would definitely choose football because of how passionate I am about it. But if I was going to look at it from, what's going to make me the most money, what's going to, help me with my longevity, what's going to ensure that I have more than a 10-year career, I would 100% choose baseball. But I don't think that Kyler Murray wanted to choose baseball, mainly because I think that he is definitely more passionate about football than baseball, and that's always a hunch that I kind of had. When he was going into when he got drafted in the MLB, I was just thinking in my head, I don't know if he will continue to play baseball, because I feel like this kid loves football so much. Like, I've had conversations with my friends about it, and they're like, what do you think about Kyler Murray? And I'm like, look, I wouldn't probably take him with the first round pick, mainly because I know that he has the baseball thing on his plate. He's got to do that. He's going to go through spring training. He's going to do that. He's going to be in the minor leagues. So we've got to, he's got to be 100% focused. If I was a GM, I would say, and I was talking to my friends about this, Kyler Murray would have to be 100% committed to football for me to pick him. Because Bo Jackson was 100% committed to both, but then he only played like 4 years in the NFL because the wear and tear of baseball and football eventually caught up to him, and he had that terrible, terrible hip injury. And there's not really been many guys who have played two sports at once. I mean, Deion Sanders did it, but he wasn't really, I don't want to say he wasn't a baseball player, because he definitely was, but he wasn't like, a Bo Jackson, go out there, hit a home run, make a grab off the wall, and then 2 days later you're scoring a touchdown at the Oakland Coliseum. So Deion Sanders was more of like a utility player, when Bo Jackson was like a real baseball player. There were guys like Danny Ainge went and played baseball after his NBA career, or like a little time during his NBA career. There were just a lot of stuff, but there's nothing that's really been like this. And like I said, if I was an NFL GM, I'd have to know that Kyler was 100% committed to football. And now knowing that he's 100% committed to football and furthering his craft and trying to become an NFL quarterback, I feel like his draft stock in my book would go up, but I still don't hold him at, as high of a standard as I do a guy like Drew Lock or a Dwayne Haskins. I do think he's better than Drew Lock, both of those guys, probably in terms of raw talent, but there's just the size factor about him. I mean, we had those concerns about Russell Wilson, and he's turned out to be a pretty good quarterback. I mean, people had those concerns. I'd never really had those concerns about Baker Mayfield, because I thought that he had some monsters in front of him at Oklahoma, and he was having to throw through those lanes and throw over those guys, and he still had a ton of success. I had no worries about Baker Mayfield at the next level. But Kyler Murray is like as tall as me, guys. Like, I'm not like, the dude who's got 6'3" in his Twitter bio or anything like that. Like, I'm a short dude. I mean, average, like, if we're going by like average of like, all dudes across the world, I'm like 5'9", so I'm just about average height. There's reports that said Kyler Murray's listed game height is 5'11", but with his cleats off in the locker room, he's walking around at like more like 5'9 3/4, 5'10". So he is a substantially smaller quarterback than Baker Mayfield, because Baker Mayfield is like 6'1". He's about the same size as Russell Wilson, and I think that's a fair comparison, comparing Kyler Murray to Russell Wilson, even though Russell Wilson's about 230 pounds and Kyler Murray is 195. But Russell Wilson wasn't 230 pounds at Nebraska either. So, but to me, I get that it's popular to have Kyler Murray in your mock draft. I mean, this is all that news media is about nowadays, is getting clicks. And I see the NFL and NFL's college football and the NFL Network, they'll be like, new mock draft 2.0, and it'll have Kyler Murray in the thumbnail, and you're like, oh my god, where's Kyler Murray going to go? So you're going to go look at that, and you're going to go read that article to find out who your team takes and who Kyler Murray's taking. So, I mean, I'm probably not going to have Kyler Murray as a first-round prospect in any of my mock drafts, mainly because I don't value him there. A lot of it is because of his size, and there's just other parts about his game that I don't really think translate to the NFL, even though we're seeing a guy like Baker Mayfield and Patrick Mahomes translate tremendously to the NFL, even though that people said some of their game doesn't fit a prototype NFL quarterback, even though we're leaning out of the prototype quarterback era where it's not as much, a dude who's 6'5" can stand in the pocket, move laterally and vertically and make every throw in the book, just on a line and dink and dunk it, his motion looks pretty, all that stuff. We're moving more towards the guy whose footwork isn't as good, who's kind of got a wonky motion, but he can throw the ball all over the field. He can throw it like 55 miles an hour. He's running out of the pocket. He's making throws sidearmed. He's making throws not looking. He's making throws running, fading away off of his back foot. That's what we're transitioning to. And Kyler Murray can do all of those things, but there's just something about me that doesn't trust him as a first-round quarterback. I feel like he could be a successful NFL quarterback if he gets with the right team, and as long as he's not asked to carry the load right away, as long as it's not like, okay, Kyler, you've got to throw 35 touchdowns this year if we want to even make the playoffs. If he gets into a good situation, maybe like if the Giants don't take a quarterback in the second round, I'd love to see maybe what they do, or if the Giants don't take a quarterback in the first, I'd love to see what they do in the second. Maybe they could take a Kyler Murray, have him sit behind Eli for a year, build up a young offensive line in front of him. They've already got Saquon in an established running game. Maybe they'll be able to do something. I don't know. Maybe a team like the Bengals with Andy Dalton, who he could sit behind for a year, or the Dolphins with Ryan Tannehill, even though they're probably going to look to move on from him and probably draft a quarterback. But there's just a lot of things going on in this situation right now, and I feel like Kyler made the right decision for who he is, because deep down inside, I always felt that he was a football guy. I always felt that he was football first. I was hesitant when he got drafted and when he started playing. Like, I heard some things of like he's more leaning towards the MLB, and I was like, that kind of sucks because he's a great talent. And then over the course of the football season, I was like, there's no way this dude cannot go to the NFL. After all of the throws that he made, after all of the plays that he made with his feet, after what he did with Oklahoma throughout the entire season, bringing them down from big deficits. That Red River rivalry game was that was probably the best college football game I watched all year. And then, you go in that game against Alabama, you're down by a lot, you bring it back to a one-score game. I mean, he was probably the most electric player in college football this year. And I was just like, there's no way this dude can go to the MLB. And lo and behold, he is not going to the Major League Baseball. He's not going to the Major League Baseball, the MLB, anything like that. I think he was ordered to give back like $1.3 million or something like that from his signing bonus. I could be wrong on that, but I saw some people like tweeting about the situation and retweeting things. And so I might have caught that, but I might have read it wrong or something like that. But let me know what you guys think about Kyler Murray's decision down in the comment section below. Do you think he should have gone to the MLB and skipped the NFL? Should he just gotten his bag in the MLB, ensured his long-term career, his longevity, all that type of stuff? Or should he have gone to the NFL, and should he ball out, make a name for himself, build his brand, build the hype around himself? What do you guys think he should have done? Let me know down in the comment section below. But that's going to do it for me, guys. I am TJ, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace.